Hello everyone, welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I am broadcasting to you live from Budapest, Hungary, Central Europe. How is everybody doing today? As usual, our materials are coming from our websites. If you're studying for general IELTS, which is used for immigration, sometimes for work, then definitely visit us at gieltshelp.com. And join our full course there. We got lots of good materials for you to improve your band scores. And if you're studying for academic IELTS, then visit us at aehelp.com and join us there. Of course, academic IELTS is used for university, sometimes for work purposes as well. Hi, Jeffrey. How are you doing today? Today is a members chat only class. We got notification from YouTube just the other day that people who are using iOS, so Apple operating systems or some other operating systems, might not be able to see that join button on the channel to become a member. And I know we got a few emails also from some people asking why they cannot see that button. So again, this is YouTube's product and function, so it doesn't have too much to do with us. But if you're having trouble becoming a member and you're trying to become a member, then you can follow this link. Okay, so use this link. It ends all the way here. So this is the full link here. And if you type in this link into your browser, according to YouTube, then you can become a member of the channel, of our channel. This is our channel's specific code, even if you're using Apple or some other system that doesn't have that functionality. I'm doing really well, Jeffrey. Thank you. So again, that's the URL that can help you to become a member of the channel. We'll send out a newsletter with that as well. And of course, you can look at this video later on. All right, so just an important reminder as we get into our class today. I'm glad you're doing okay, Jeffrey. That's great. Today is the 24th. We have this 1 hour task 2 writing for IELTS class today for you. And then from tomorrow, we will be taking a short break from the 25th until the 1st. It's a 1-week summer break on our end. And then I will be back on the 2nd with 5 days per week regular classes. We'll be throwing in some extra classes as well for non-members, so you can really maximize your learning. All right, members, so I thought that we'd finish off this week of lessons with some writing task 2 practice. Here's the question. Let's have a look at it. You should spend no more than 40 minutes on this task. Definitely do spend 40 minutes. I just had a student email me letting me know that they were only able to finish 3 paragraphs, the introduction, body 1, and they realized they were running out of time, so they quickly wrote a conclusion and did not write a second body paragraph. And they asked me, hey, can I still get an okay mark in my writing? Yes, you can if you have some really good writing for task 1 and those 3 paragraphs, but definitely your chances of getting high band scores like 7, 5, 8 are diminished if you're not able to complete task 2 and reach that minimum 250 words. Okay, so make sure to save 40 minutes for task 2. It's worth 2/3 of your writing mark. It's important. In our example here, write about the following topics. Some people like to travel with a companion. Others prefer to travel alone. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Give reasons for your answer and include any relevant examples from your own knowledge or experience. So a fairly simple question today. The goal for today's class is to write a really nice response with some good complex compound sentences. Jeffrey, you're the first and only member in so far, so I'll be relying on you to give me some advice. Still getting over that flu a little bit, so you'll have to bear with me. Okay, so write at least 250 words. Okay, step number 1, identify your topic. Okay, so your topic is traveling, controlling idea, traveling by yourself or with someone else. Okay. The topic here is quite simple. So traveling means going abroad, going somewhere else. going to another country for vacation or for a visit. And the controlling idea here is where we really want to get into it. So traveling alone, clearly the what, it's traveling by yourself. And the why is the important question, the interesting question here that you should get to. So the first question you should be asking is, why should I travel by myself? Okay, what's the answer to that question? So why would a person want to travel by themselves? Hi, Manisha. Good to see you jumping in class. Hopefully we'll get a few more members in here so we can get some real good dynamic discussion going. Manisha, Jeffrey, why would a person want to travel by themselves? What are the advantages of that? It's a good time to get in, Manisha. We're just brainstorming or planning our response for the task 2 question. By the way, everybody who's watching, the task 2 IELTS question is also in the stream description. I've included it there. Okay, so Jeffrey says they don't want to see familiar faces. That's why they want to travel by themselves. Potentially, don't approach questions from a negative perspective. So instead of saying they don't want to see familiar faces, Jeffrey, think about the other side of that coin, the positive side. So what do they want to do? Okay. So Manisha, same thing. Instead of saying avoiding restrictions from others, try to approach it from the positive perspective. So what do they want to do? Okay. It's a better logic. It's a better argument. Okay. There you go, Manisha. So travel myself. They want freedom to do what they want. Okay. Sure. Okay, so freedom to do what they want, when they want. That's a good answer. Jeffrey says, hey, that'll give them a better chance to meet new people, make new friends. Sure. Any other reason why somebody might want to travel alone? So the advantages, and of course, here we're already looking at some of the advantages, right? The advantage of traveling alone is that you can choose what to do when you want to do it. You can also have a better chance of making new friends because you're not occupied by the person you're traveling with. Yeah, Jeffrey, that's the same thing as to do what they want when they want, to have control of the schedule. Sure. Another one that I might include as well is self-discovery. Okay, so that's kind of a 1, 2, 3 here, right? People might want to travel by themselves so that they can become more familiar with themselves, spend more time with their own thoughts, discover who they are as a person. Definitely people do that. Now, why is this a bad idea? Okay, so that's the other question, because remember here it says discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. So you have to talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of both. All right, so what would be a disadvantage of traveling alone? Okay, Manisha says, hey, it can be boring. Absolutely. Sure, it can become boring. No one to share adventures and stories with. Jeffrey says a robbery could happen, or burglary, theft. Yeah, and I think you could say that in a more general way, right? So no one's there to help. You can get lost somewhere. Yeah, absolutely. It's a more simple way to say it is it can be more dangerous. Okay. Absolutely. It can be more dangerous without the support of a friend. Now, do I need lots more information for that? No, absolutely not. That's lots of good planning for a 250-word essay. Of course, we want to look at the other side. So why do I want to travel with someone? Okay, so these are the questions you'd want to ask yourself if you got this task 2 question before you start writing. Again, knowing the structure of your essay is very, very useful. So why do I want to travel with someone? Well, the clear answer is there from the previous question, right? So it can be safer, so extra safety and support. Can be more entertaining. Right? To share experiences and thoughts. Okay, definitely. And then the opposite here. So why is it bad to travel with companions? And the reasons are there again from the opposite of the first one here. So why is it negative? Well, if we look at the first one here of why I should travel myself, and I say it's freedom to do what I want. Yeah, and Manisha, good answer there. Have good company. Again, Jeffrey, for safety, absolutely. Why is it bad to travel with companions? So why might it be a negative? So what can I understand from my previous planning there? Have to accommodate the needs of the companion. Right? So less self-control. You might have to give up some of your free time to do what the other person wants to do, right? So you have to work together a little bit more, and that can be frustrating, especially if that person is very needy. So you definitely want to make sure that you have the right kind of travel companion. If you go with a friend who snores and you stay in a hostel, you might have a lot of people waking up in the middle of the night, and that could be a problem. All right, good. So here we have the positives, the negatives, so we can begin our essay. Now, remember again, our essay is 4 paragraphs. It begins with the introduction. Okay. Now, for the introduction, let's go through. So again, this is just some great practice here. The focus is on good quality writing. And I'm going to leave this up to you. And Jeffrey, Manisha, it's a great day to be in class because there's 2 members here today of all those members in the channel, which means that you can kind of almost get like a private lesson here with these questions and answers. So stick with me. So the introduction starts with the hook. What would be a good hook for this question? So again, let's go back to the original question just real quick. It's a good idea to read it, especially when it's such a short question, just before you begin writing your essay. So some people like to travel with a companion. Others prefer to travel alone. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. So what could be the hook here? What is a good hook for this question? Okay. Give me a hook that you think is, hey, people travel every now and then. Yeah, Jeffrey, it's not bad. I think it's a little bit simple. Okay? I think it's a little bit simple. Try to reach above and beyond. Try to come up with something that's even a little bit better. It would work. It's not a bad hook, Jeffrey, but I think you can do better. Yeah, that's kind of the same, Jeffrey. Traveling is common today is kind of the same as the previous one. A little bit more detail. Here's a good question. Why do people like to travel? Manisha, same thing, okay? So I'm pushing you to go one step further, become even more advanced in your critical thinking when you're looking at these questions. So it's an okay hook. It will work. You could get a good band score on IELTS, but I think you can do even better. So these days, tourism is prevalent everywhere. It's fine. Why do people like to travel? So what's the purpose of traveling, generally speaking? Why do you like to travel? What is your primary goal when you travel? You go to another country, you go to Hawaii, hang out on the beach, go to Italy, visit Rome. Yeah, to relax and explore, sure. Even more simply put, Jeffrey, why do people like to travel? Well, it's because they want to do what? So, many people take trips each year to rest and relax. You could say that, but you could just simply say many people take trips each year to let go and enjoy themselves. Okay, so there's my hook. Yeah, take a break. Sure, that's an okay way to say it as well, Jeffrey. So the word that I was really focusing on here is enjoy, right? Because that's at the heart of this question. When really we're asking if you want to travel with somebody or travel by yourself, I think one of the most fundamental concepts for your decision is, how will I enjoy myself? Will I enjoy myself on this trip if I go with my friend Jake? Or will I enjoy myself more if I just go by myself? So again, don't forget those powerful tools of visualization and critical thinking, right? Focus in on that specific context. So many people take trips each year to let go and enjoy themselves. Sure. Okay, let's have a little bit of a definition. When getting ready for travel, most people need to decide whether to go by themselves or to go alone. I'm avoiding word repetition here. Or with a friend. Okay. A little bit more definition here. So this is my background and my definition. Of course, has the definition and importance. So here, the definition, sure, I just took that from the question. When getting ready for travel, most people need to decide whether to go alone or with a friend, right? And then they'll convince their friend to go. Now, the importance, okay, so here, I want to put one more sentence here. The importance of this question, okay? What should I write for that? So, Manisha, Jeffrey, what's your suggestion? What do you think I should write for the sentence that explains in the introduction to the reader the importance of this concept or this idea, whether I'm choosing to travel alone or travel by myself? What does that do? Okay, that's the question that I'm answering in this sentence. So for all the viewers who are watching, just remember, you have the hook, then you have the background. The background is usually made up of two parts: a definition of the main idea, which is here. Sometimes that's just a paraphrase of the question. And then the importance. So what's the importance of this? Whether I'm by myself or with someone. I'll give you a couple more seconds to think about it. Again, remember, you don't have too much time to think of each of these elements, so you need to be fairly quick. Okay? Well, while you're thinking, I'll put my answer up there. Let's see if yours is someone. Depending on what the traveler or tourist decides, can likely have a great impact on the overall experience of the journey. Okay? That's why. Okay? Yeah, Jeffrey, you're on the right track. So you thought the same that I did, which is great. Just make sure that you can express that clearly. And again, remember, don't use you in the essay, okay? You is used in second person voice when you're speaking directly to your reader. Don't do that, and don't use contractions. So did not, okay? If a person did not make the choice wisely, the trip can be ruined. That's correct, okay? So know you, know yourself, no second person voice in the essay, and no contractions, okay? So didn't is did not, I'm is I am, isn't is not, okay? Very good. So your logic is similar. Manisha, I hope you were thinking kind of the same, right? That's the importance of it, right? What's the importance of the decision of going alone or with someone? Well, it will surely impact the overall experience and result, right? So depending on what the tourist decides can likely have a great impact on the overall experience of the journey. Now comes the thesis, okay? The thesis is the argument, and of course it has to do with the advantages and disadvantages. So both of these situations have advantages, disadvantages. Let's try to express that very clearly. Okay, now because we're going piece by piece, I want to make sure it flows. So let's go back to the beginning and just review this. Many people take trips each year to let go and enjoy themselves. When getting ready for travel, most people need to decide whether to go alone or with a friend. Depending on what the tourist decides, instead of decides, because I have decide here, I'm going to go with chooses. Take a page from Jeffrey's recommendation there. So depending on what the tourist chooses, it can likely have a great impact on the overall experience of the journey. Both traveling alone or with a companion has advantages and disadvantages. Okay, now if I'm going for like a 7 or an 8, I might stop my thesis there and then just break into my first body paragraph. But if I want to get a really nice high score, I would definitely want to write a direct thesis, and I can do that. So I can include points here. So Manisha says, why aren't you using both and? Yeah, you're right. It actually does sound a little bit better. So both traveling alone and with a companion has advantages and disadvantages, primarily in regards, now here's a nice expression for you, primarily in regards to what? What should be my 2 points here? So if I want to make my thesis stronger and direct, clearly state my points, what should be my 2 points here? Okay, so think back to what I said here. So what would be 2 good nouns to pull from all of this planning for the 2 points of my thesis to make it a rock solid thesis for a band 8 or a band 9 type of thesis statement? Okay, and again, making sure I have parallel grammar. So all I want here is two nouns. Okay, we already have pros and cons, Jeffrey, because I have it here, advantages, disadvantages. So I can say both traveling alone and with a companion has advantages and disadvantages, primarily in regards to what? Think about it here. What are the 2 key words from these 4 whys? So here I have, why should I travel by myself? Why is it a bad idea to travel alone? Why do I want to travel with someone? Why is it a bad idea to travel alone? What are the 2 clear, distinct points that I can pull from this planning, insert into my thesis, and write a high band essay? You can do it. Come on. What's the word that keeps repeating? What is the word that keeps repeating in these? And I'm identifying 2 specific points. Okay, I don't need more, just 2 good ones. You have to be able to do this, girls and guys, when you're planning your essays, not just for IELTS, but for your university studies as well. So here, okay, let me just show you. I'm going to step back one and make it a little bit easier. So why should I travel by myself? Freedom to do what I want. Meet new people. What is that? Freedom to meet new people. Okay. Why is it a bad idea? Well, it can be boring, sure, and it can be dangerous. Another way to say dangerous, if I'm using an antonym negative, is unsafe, right? It's not safe. So good, because I have freedom, freedom to do what I want, freedom to meet people. Dangerous, because it's not safe and maybe it's boring, okay? Now, why do I want to travel with someone? Because it's safe, okay? It's entertaining. I can share experiences with them. And why is it bad to travel with companions? Because I have to accommodate their needs, right? I have to work together with them. So basically, it's the opposite. It's a lack of freedom, right? So for the thesis here, if you're writing a good essay, you can say, and it primarily in regards to safety and freedom. Okay. Now, if you want to get that band 9 essay, so you're like, Adrian, okay, we can do band 7s, we can do band 8s. I want to do a band 9. Well, then you might want to do 3 body paragraphs. That does mean that you have to be able to write at least about 300 words in that 40 minutes, which is doable if you have good English skills. I could probably write about 500, just to give you an idea of how many words you can actually write. So you could do safety, freedom, and entertainment or excitement. Okay, so you could talk about traveling alone is not safe, but there's a lot of freedom, and it could be less exciting. Traveling with someone, more safety, less freedom, and potentially more exciting, okay, or more interesting. All right, so that would be your 5 paragraphs. You could do body paragraph 1 with this, 2 with this, 3 with that. So that's one way to organize your essay. All right, so that would be a rock solid thesis leading to a high band score. Okay, so both traveling alone and with a companion has advantages and disadvantages. Now, here, I'm going to keep it a little bit more simple because I don't want to suggest students to write 5 body paragraphs. Here, instead, I'm just going to write 2. And instead of focusing on breaking up the paragraphs according to safety and freedom, I'm going to break it up by traveling alone and traveling with someone. That is the safer, easier band 7, 5, 8. Hey, if you're really good at writing, you could still get a 9 too, okay? All right, so body paragraph 1. Body paragraph 1, of course, starts with a topic sentence. All right, now, what should body paragraph 1 be about? So, Jeffrey, Manisha, what should I be writing body paragraph about? What should be the topic sentence of body paragraph 1 according to my thesis? What's a good way to do it? There are actually 2 ways that I could tackle this situation. Yeah, okay, there you go, Manisha. So you could say, hey, you could talk about safety because that's the first reason or reasoning behind your point. Sure, that's one way I could do it. I could do it another way. And if I have 2 points here, I would probably choose another way to do it. So I could write a paragraph that talks about safety, and I could say, safety is a major concern when traveling abroad to unfamiliar lands, okay? So I could start it like that, or I could start it with traveling alone, okay? So I could have body paragraph 1 about traveling alone, and body paragraph 2, traveling with somebody, and then each one have those 2 points, or I could break them by 2 points, okay? So I'll make a note of that just so you can kind of see what I'm talking about. So I could do 2 ways, okay? So I could have body One, where I'm basically talking about safety. And I'm talking about safety when people are traveling alone and with someone, okay? So together, and then of course body 2 could be about freedom, right? So freedom alone or no freedom together. So that's one way to organize it. And then, of course, the other way to organize it is to talk about alone. So body 1 is alone, and I'm discussing both safety and freedom. And then body 2 could be about together, and it could be about safety and freedom. Now, if you're at home and you've practiced IELTS writing task 2 and you can get to this level of description, the choice is yours. It's up to you which one you choose, which one you feel is going to be easier. So this is option 1. This is option 2. Which one do you want to do? Manisha, Jeffrey? Which one do you want? Do you want to do option 1, where we talk about alone in body paragraph 1, and then traveling together with someone in body paragraph 2? Or do you want to talk about it in this way, where we talk about safety and what that means when you travel alone versus with someone, and then body paragraph 2, the freedom during travel, whether alone or together, what that means. So what do you want to do? Which one? Absolutely. You want to rock, paper, scissors for it, Jeffrey. Yeah, Manisha, we mentioned this in the course as well. So ideally, you want to choose the easier side when you're in IELTS, and I'll tell you which one I think is easier after you make your choice. But I want to give this decision to the two of you. So Manisha, Jeffrey, just throw it out there. I'll be the deciding factor. I'll flip a coin if you guys say the opposite. So option 1 or option 2? Which one? Don't be shy. Just give it to me. Okay, Jeffrey says 1. Manisha, waiting on you. Manisha said second approach is okay. All right, let me see. So, I don't have a coin, but I will use this lens cap, okay? If it is the side with the words on it, then we'll go with 1. If it is side with no words, with the clip end, then we'll go with 2. So here we go. All right. Okay, so I ended up with the clip end. So we'll take the second approach, okay? Number 2. All right, so the lens cap decides. All right, so we'll take this approach then here, where we talk about safety first, and then we talk about freedom. All right? Guess what your homework's going to be? Doing it with option 1, okay? And I challenge all viewers who are watching, for homework, try to write the essay with option 1, where you're talking about traveling alone, safety and freedom, body paragraph 2, traveling with somebody, safety and freedom, okay? But according to the lens cap, right now we'll go with the more difficult option, which is option 2 here. I think option 1, by the way, is the easier side, but we'll go with option 2 here. So we'll talk about safety then first, okay? So the topic sentence, I'll help you out with that one. So the topic sentence can be something like this. Personal safety is usually a major concern for most international tourists. Okay, so there is my topic sentence. Keeping it simple. Personal safety is usually a major concern for most international tourists. Good. So you're giving a little bit more definition to safety. Now I want to give an explanation here on the advantages and disadvantages. So what would be a good explanation here? Okay. So Manisha, Jeffrey, give me the explanation. Give me the explanation. Jeffrey, you got your score today? Do share. If you're not comfortable sharing it in the chat, send me an email. I'm really curious how you did. Okay, especially being in classes so often. So think about the explanation. Of course, here, the explanation should be connected to the advantage and disadvantage, right? So when traveling in foreign lands, people are more vulnerable due to lack of language and cultural knowledge. Certainly, traveling in pairs or with more people gives an added sense of security. Okay? So that is an explanation of what happens with safety when we're traveling internationally. Okay? Obviously, people aren't too worried about safety or not as worried about safety when they're traveling within their own culture or within their own country. So personal safety is usually a major concern for most international tourists. When traveling in foreign lands, people are more vulnerable due to lack of language and cultural knowledge. Certainly, traveling in pairs or with more people gives an added sense of security. Here, an example. Again, you only have 40 minutes and you have to write at least 250 words, but that can be very quickly gone, the words and the time, if you drag out your explanation. So you don't want to over-explain either, okay? So here we go. Here's an example. For instance, while I was traveling through Spain last year with my friend Jack, I sprained my ankle during a hike. Fortunately, my friend was there to take me to a nearby hospital. It would have been disadvantageous had I been traveling alone. Okay? So, yeah, Manisha, very good. So, great. You're basically paraphrasing what I wrote up with the when traveling in foreign lands, people are more vulnerable due to lack of language and cultural knowledge. Now, for everybody who's watching, definitely focus on the grammar that I'm using and the vocabulary. So when I'm thinking of the word safe or safety, other important words come to mind as well, such as the word vulnerable. If you don't know this, write it down. Start adding to your vocabulary list. Vulnerable. The other one is security, okay? So those are some good words that complement the word safety, okay? And then here I break into an example. Now notice that these sentences are, for the most part, complex sentences. Here I have when traveling in foreign lands, comma. So I have a dependent clause followed by an independent clause. That's a complex sentence, okay? Again, another complex sentence using while. So while I was traveling through Spain last year with my friend Jack, comma, followed by the independent clause. I sprained my ankle during a hike, okay? And then a clear explanation here as well. And notice the conditional. It would have been disadvantageous had I been traveling alone. Now notice I'm using the word advantage, disadvantage, and I'm using it in a different word form, disadvantageous, to make my essay sound more interesting. Okay, so take note of this grammar and this language use for this kind of essay. All right, now I can conclude this paragraph by simply saying, so in this regard, so this is the connecting or concluding sentence. Okay. In this regard, going on a trip with a friend or companion, friend or family member is more beneficial than traveling alone. Okay? So that's my connecting or concluding sentence. So in this regard, going on a trip with a friend or family member is more beneficial than traveling alone. You have a higher degree of safety, right? Yeah, it would have been because it's conditional here, Manisha. So it would have been disadvantageous had I been traveling alone. So had I been traveling alone, of course, is past perfect. It means hypothetically, and it would have been, or it could have been is another way to say it. It's modal because it's an unreal condition. Okay? I hope that makes sense. All right? Now, let's go to the second body paragraph. So in this regard, going on a trip with a friend or family member is more beneficial than traveling alone. Now, that lets me break into my second body paragraph. Okay. Now, in the official IELTS, you don't need to write body 2. In fact, don't write body 2. Just start writing the paragraph. So for body 2, how can I start this? What's my topic sentence here? Okay, so focus on good cohesion, on good flow of information. The last sentence is, in this regard, going on a trip with a friend or family member is more beneficial than traveling alone. All right, Manisha, Jeffrey, how can I start my body paragraph 2 coming from that connecting or concluding sentence? So what's a good way to begin body 2? And of course, I'm looking for some kind of a connecting word here. So what kind of a connecting word will let me flow nicely into body paragraph 2 to keep going with that high IELTS band score, getting an 8, potentially even a 9 for my writing? Yeah, that's right. That's what I was thinking, Jeffrey. However, Manisha, clearly liberty is also an important factor while traveling. Sure, any part of the world, I think it's a little bit awkward, but it's not bad. I would probably start it with however, as Jeffrey says. However, a clear benefit of taking a trip alone is liberty to do whatever and whenever. during the journey. Okay? So, however, a clear benefit of taking a trip alone is liberty to do whatever and whenever, during the trip or during the journey. Okay, sure. So, explain that. Explain what you mean by that. Why did you tell me that? So yes, Jeffrey, traveling alone or traveling with others can be a lack of personal freedom. But again, remember, it's always better to argue from the positive side than the negative side. Too many times I see students doing that where they say, I can't do this, or that won't work, or don't do that, or then that's impossible. And those are okay, and the logic is okay to state the negative, but usually you do that when you're writing a much longer essay. If you want to have a strong argument, and this is true in everyday communication as well, always focus on the positive aspects of your choice. So why your choice is good rather than why it's not bad, okay? That's a much, much better logic, and it's much more effective communication. And certainly when you have a 250 or 300 word essay where you're explaining such big ideas, it's usually a much better idea to focus in on the positive angle of the argument, okay? So here again, let's explain this. A clear benefit of taking a trip alone is liberty to do whatever and whenever. So whatever, whenever. It's a little bit awkward. I'm trying to fix that here. That maybe sounds a little bit more natural like that. Okay, so have you come up with an explanation, Manisha, Jeffrey? Let's see if yours matches something like mine. Every individual is unique in their desires and needs. This is especially true when exploring other parts of the world. Okay? So, a tourist may choose to travel alone even if it is more dangerous, so that they do not need to compensate or collaborate or accommodate a travel companion. Okay? Yeah, Jeffrey, that's the right direction as well. So you could say, with the schedule in one's mind, a trip can be much more unexpected and adventurous. Manisha, as solo travel offers people to make new friends and discover themselves. Yeah, absolutely. You can continue with that. In this way, the trip can be more unexpected and exciting. Sure, you can add things like that in there as well. That makes sense. It links up. Why not? Let's just go back and read it, make sure we're not falling apart here. However, a clear benefit of taking a trip alone is liberty to do what the person wants and when they want to do it. Every individual is unique in their desires and needs. This is especially true when exploring other parts of the world. So, a tourist may choose to travel alone, even if it is more dangerous, so that they do not need to accommodate a travel companion's wishes. In this way, the trip can also be more unexpected and exciting. All right, that's plenty. Now we want to put in the example. And for the example, again, you can just make it up. Here, if you're visualizing, what do you see? So traveling alone. When you visualize taking a trip alone somewhere in the world, what do you see? If you have to use your imagination, what do you see in your mind? Jeffrey, Manisha, if you close your eyes and you think about, hey, traveling alone somewhere in the world, what do you actually see inside of your head? What's the most obvious? What's the 9 out of 10 people situation? There's kind of 2 that come into mind. One is definitely the strongest. Jeffrey says a backpacker. Sure. Can you give me more details, Jeffrey? Who is this backpacker? How old is this backpacker? Where are they? What do you see? But you're on the right track. I definitely see the backpacker also. So who do you see? What do you see? Manisha, who do you see? What do you see? You see a backpacker. Okay. And I'm guessing you're probably visualizing something similar to me. It's probably a university student or university graduate who's just finished school. They decided to do a backpacking trip around Europe or Asia, explore on their own, make some friends, meet some people, right? And now, if you have that picture in your head, so you have this 20-something-year-old girl or guy who has decided to explore the world, make it your own, okay? Good, and it's great that you're seeing details, Jeffrey. I see those details as well. So let's throw that in. Now, of course, make it your own. After I finished university, I decided to explore Africa on my own with a backpack. Okay. Although it was at times scary and lonely, I truly enjoyed making spontaneous decisions along the way and meeting many new and exciting friends. Okay, so boom, just kind of throwing it together, visualizing myself after university. I never did this. I actually went around Europe with my best friend Corey after I graduated university, so I went with a friend, but I could see myself in an alternate life doing it this way, visualizing it. So although, so here we go. After I finished university, I decided to explore Africa on my own with a backpack. Although it was at times scary and lonely, I truly enjoyed making spontaneous decisions along the way and meeting new and exciting friends. I think taking this trip alone was to my benefit. Okay, so going back to the main question and tying in the advantage of the situation. Okay, now, of course, comes the conclusion. So, concluding paragraph. All right, so in the concluding paragraph, you have 3 parts. First part is summarize the main points. And again, you just start with in conclusion here. So in conclusion, there are clear benefits and deficits to traveling alone or with a companion. These are mainly safety and freedom or liberty, as Manisha used that word very well. Okay? Then we go to the argument restated. Although solo travel is more dangerous, it affords greater liberty. The opposite is true for traveling with a friend or family member. At the end of the day, each of us need to decide what is most important at the end of the trip or during the trip. Okay, so that would be a conclusion. Now let's go back, read through this essay and make sure that there's not too much redundancy. We've answered the question. Of course, the question is here. Some people like to travel with a companion. Others prefer to travel alone. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of both. Here we go. Let's read the essay. Make sure we're happy with it. Many people take trips each year to let go and enjoy themselves. When getting ready for travel, most people need to decide whether to go alone or with a friend. Depending on what the tourist chooses, it can likely have a great impact on the overall experience of the journey. Both traveling alone and with a companion has advantages and disadvantages, primarily in regards to safety and freedom. Personal safety is usually a major concern for most international tourists. When traveling in foreign lands, people are more vulnerable due to lack of language and cultural knowledge. Certainly, traveling in pairs or with more people gives an added sense of security. For instance, while I was traveling through Spain last year with my friend Jack, I sprained my ankle during a hike. Fortunately, my friend was there to take me to a nearby hospital. It would have been disadvantageous had I been traveling alone. In this regard, going on a trip with a friend or family member is more beneficial than traveling alone. However, a clear benefit of taking a trip by oneself is liberty to do what the person wants and when they want to do it. Every individual is unique in their desires and needs. This is especially true when exploring other parts of the world. So a tourist may choose to travel alone even if it is more dangerous, so that they do not need to accommodate a travel companion's wishes. Don't forget your punctuation. In this way, the trip can also be more unexpected and exciting. After I finished university, I decided to explore Africa on my own with a backpack. Although it was at times scary and lonely, I truly enjoyed making spontaneous decisions along the way and meeting many new and exciting friends. I think taking this trip alone was to my benefit. In conclusion, there are clear benefits and deficits to traveling alone or with a companion. There are mainly safety and freedom. Although solo travel is more dangerous, it affords greater liberty. The opposite is true for traveling with a friend or family member. At the end of the day, each of us needs to decide what is most important during our travels. Okay? So, yeah, definitely there's no absolute answer for this question, Jeffrey. It is up to your... It is up to your decision how you write it. That's why sometimes easy questions can be even more difficult to get a high band score, because you have so many different ways of approaching the question. And that leads me to my homework for everyone, which is write the same essay in a different way. Okay, and I'll bring us back here. I've noticed that every 30 minutes the camera likes to take a snooze, and I have no idea where that setting is. If anybody knows Canon EOS cameras and can tell me, I'd greatly appreciate it, because I've racked my brain trying to figure that out, but I can't find it anywhere. All right, so let me get that homework up there for you. So homework, write the same essay with a different approach. And the different approach that I'm looking for is introduction, and then body 1, which is travel alone, and then body 2, which is travel with a companion, and then conclusion. And of course, you need advantage and disadvantage for each of these body paragraphs here. Okay, and once you've done that, then please send it to me by email, and I'll let you know what kind of a score you'd probably get on the IELTS. Okay, so email your homework to Adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, so email it to me, and I will let you know whether or not it's done right and where your what your estimated score would be. Okay. All right, I'll show you that email again because it's turned it blue with the hyperlink. All right, here we go. So send it here. Adrian@aehelp.com. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, everybody who's watching, thank you so much for watching today, and thank you Jeffrey and Manisha for being in class and for all your suggestions and responses. And yes, Jeffrey, now it's time for me and my team to go on a little bit of a break, a vacation. So over the next 7 days, we will be posting some videos, but no live streams, okay? Make sure to check out our channels, videos, go to our websites and join there. That will definitely help you improve your band scores. Academic IELTS is aehelp.com. General IELTS is gieltshelp.com. I hope everybody has a wonderful next week. I look forward to seeing you all in September. Much love to everyone. Bye for now. Thank you for watching. Thanks for your support, members. Have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Bye-bye.